Do you know what? I was going to start with the Avengers fanfare, and I temporarily forgot what it was.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Why am I an idiot? I mean, why am I? It's as though I've not been watching a lot of MCU
Yeah.
stuff over the last few weeks, which obviously I have because everybody has. Because it's taking over the world again.
Well, if you can't even remember the fanfare, I don't know. What are you going to remember about what we're talking about today?
Yes, I am, because I know well. I've been looking at things. Patrick Harden would be very happy with me.
Yes.
In my little bit of, looking into these weird things that we might have in store for us in the coming years of the MCU, because that is what we are here to talk about today. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Morgan, Janine, we're here. We're back with fun MCU discussions, because the last one we did was ages ago now.
Yes.
And it was after Captain America and the Winter Soldier, as it became called.
Yes.
And we asked ourselves, didn't we? We asked ourselves, what will happen with Captain America? Hello, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
In the chat. We asked ourselves, what will happen to Captain America? I wonder if that answer has changed somewhat over the last 2 months. Or just over the last week.
Well, I mean, the focus has shifted. Definitely.
Certainly has.
Unfortunately,
so I think. I feel like people have now forgotten that Sam Wilson is Captain America.
It was this huge, big fanfare, and now we're kind of just focused into this multiverse with all the craziness that's been happening. So let's start with Black Widow.
Well, let's start with Black Widow, yes, because that was a movie that should have come out in 2017.
Yes, exactly. Long overdue. Did you like it? First of all,
I did like it. Too many people were unnecessarily hating on Black Widow, the movie. Apparently, it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that came out 4 years too late.
Yeah, it just came out in the wrong time. But I have to say, I was slightly disappointed with the fact that, Natasha's finally got her own movie, and they took more time focusing on Yelena and her struggle and her story. Because you're setting her up. Yes, you're setting her up. Yes, she's probably going to be potentially Black Widow of our MCU now. But
Steve says #more Yelena.
Yes, not to say like everybody fell in love with Yelena. Obviously, Florence Pugh is amazing. And, the depth we got with her character of, being forced into this, being one of the women who were, brainwashed.
Yeah.
Under
Ray Winston, apparently.
Yes.
Didn't care for Ray Winston in the movie.
No, yes, he was
at all.
Her feeling like she's the only one who kind of believed and latched on and felt that this whole family was real, and her struggling with that. I think we took a lot of time delving into her emotional state in those situations, when it's supposed to be Natasha's movie, long overdue movie for this female character, and she gets kind of overshadowed a little bit. So that was kind of disappointing. Like, I
get that. I do feel that as well, a little bit.
So had it been her wanting to take out the Red Room and do this of her own volition, to kind of hold fast to her constant MCU rhetoric of wanting to get the red out of her ledger, to want to be a good guy. And that was kind of the reason driving ending the Red Room, not because Yelena asked it of her, had it been kind of her decision to do that. I think that would have helped make it more her film, her story, and felt kind of built up to what we've seen from the character through the years. But it was more...
They put themselves in a tough situation of their own doing.
Yeah.
Because had the movie come out in 2017, it would have been... I do feel it would have been different in that way. yes, it probably would have been the same general idea. And yes, Yelena, admittedly, I don't think it would have been Florence Pugh at that time, which, fortunately for the rest of us, it is now Florence Pugh, because you put Florence Pugh in anything and I'm going to have a big smile on my face all the time, always. Yes. She's just great.
She's amazing.
So you get that kind of maybe against it, but you would get a character of Yelena, but she certainly wouldn't be as set up to be this character type going forward, as we now know that she is basically going to be taking over the idea, the concept of the character of Black Widow, now that obviously Natasha is dead.
Yes. So I do see the need to set her up a little bit, considering Natasha is gone. But because you're calling this movie Black Widow, it's supposed to be Natasha's movie. Everybody else got this deep arcing, introduction movie, developing movie for their characters: Thor, Iron Man, Captain America,
even Hulk.
Yes. And we're not getting a trilogy of films for her.
No.
But this was an important opportunity to really develop her even more and really kind of show how important it was for her to overcome her past. And
do you not feel? I feel like
it did do that, but I feel like it did get foreshadowed a little bit, and her reasons behind doing it felt a little off from kind of her reasons for doing things in all of the other movies previously.
And
it felt more like Marvel's... it was for other people and not for her.
Yeah.
But to this point, we'd seen her doing this for her to be a good guy for herself, to clear her conscience as best as she could for herself. But this kind of felt like she was doing it for other people.
And that's Marvel's own fault for leaving it too late to do the movie. Really.
Yeah.
It's their own fault for having Natasha now dead.
Yes, and I agree with Steve as well. Rachel Weisz wasted, Taskmaster disappointing. I
mean, we're saying all these negative things about the movie. I did like the movie. I did like the movie. Steve also says for this plot it should have been called Widows or Red Room, which I also don't kind of have. I don't disagree with, because it is more about the idea of the widows, I suppose, than singly Natasha.
Yeah, and then it erases the whole guilt of killing Dreykov's daughter with that whole Taskmaster reveal.
Oh yeah, well that is true actually, because oh my god, they bang on about Budapest enough, don't they? And
yeah.
Oh, what we did in Budapest. Oh, yeah, remember Budapest? Yes, we remember. We don't know what happened in Budapest.
No, and we still kind of don't. So, yeah, definitely some things that didn't quite land. But overall, great performances. The family aspects were really great and emotional. You felt all the emotional felt real, felt valid.
For some reason, David Harbour's accent was wildly offensive, but not out of place.
I feel like because if you're comparing that to Dreykov's with Ray Winstone doing his Cockney
Russian.
Oh gosh, just
Cockney
cast somebody
Russian
else.
Was next level.
Cast somebody else. If he can't do it, cast somebody else, because this is ridiculous. This was like what we got into with Drop Dead Gorgeous and Denise Richards not being able to do the Minnesota.
You should have just had him be Cockney.
Yes.
They've done that enough times. I get that, the Black Widow it's a Russian, it's a Soviet thing, really, isn't it? That's the idea of it. But the MCU's messed about with people's heritages for 13 years.
Yeah, so maybe his accent would be
He can just be cocked. He
He
can.
can have, yeah. The young Natasha was actually played by Mila Jovovich's daughter. Yes.
Mila Jovovich's daughter with, have I got it right? Is that the right one? Who does
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Underworld and who does Resident Evil?
Paul W.S.
Because they're the same movie as far as I'm concerned.
Paul W.S. Anderson does Resident Evil.
And so he's Mila Jovovich.
It was his husband. And he also directed
Paul W.S. Anderson, Alien versus Predator.
Mortal Kombat.
But he also did direct Alien versus Predator.
Yes, but I was waiting for you to do the Mortal Kombat.
I didn't remember that he directed Mortal Kombat. Oh.
Yes.
The dancing from the Mortal Kombat episode.
Yeah, that was great. Yes. Leeloo Dallas Multipass, yes.
Oh. I'm confused. I get confused between Underworld and Resident Evil. Anyway.
Yeah, they have similar tones. You'd think they were directed by the same person. But
yeah, for some reason, like David Harbour's accent was just the right kind of level of cartoonish.
Well, yeah, because I think he was a very cartoonish kind of character.
He was.
He was very goofy and silly and asking about, does Captain America talk about me? Like, what?
No, he doesn't. Not one time did Steve Rogers ever say, so there was this big beardy Russian dude.
Yeah.
Like, and also, obviously, he was frozen.
His timelines were way off. But maybe in a multiverse version they did.
Oh, well, we'll get into that, and Morgan gets confused, but who knows what's liable to happen in the multiverse. But as for Black Widow, ultimately the most exciting thing about it for me, unfortunately, I suppose, for a movie called Black Widow, was obviously for Florence Pugh, was the setup of Florence Pugh being now at the end credits, going after Hawkeye, going after Clint.
Yes, so
for the supposed murder of Natasha because pushy off of Vormir.
So yeah, I think Val is on a recruiting mission. I've seen lots of theories that she's recruiting.
Still don't know much about her. Don't really know
she's recruiting for the Thunderbolts. She's recruiting
Thunderbolt
to form
Ross.
Potentially
he was in the movie. Thunderbolt Ross was in the movie.
Yes.
That was fun.
Yes. So the Thunderbolts, which is kind of his evil team of they're similar to like the Suicide Squad, I'm told. Or the New Avengers, which are basically like a group of villains kind of posing as heroes.
I'm not having Yelena being put under this villain disguise, though.
So, like, you have your dark version of Black Widow, you have your dark version of Captain America.
You have your very dark version of Captain America, yes. John.
Which I should be concerned. Somebody sent me a Funko Pop of him, and I don't know who sent it.
Of John Walker?
Of U.S. Agent John Walker. I don't know who sent it to me. I'm very concerned if that is some sort of threat.
U.S. Agent John Walker is what he becomes at the end as well, isn't it?
Yes. So somebody mailed me that Funko Pop, and I have no idea who sent it to me.
So that's the kind of character we're going to expect from him going forward, isn't it? This overly violent Captain America who's just messed up in the head a bit.
Yes, I mean, he did try to redeem himself at the end of Captain America and the Winter Soldier. But,
he's a moron.
Yeah.
He's a distinctly unlikable person. As we said in our conversation on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, very, very well played by Wyatt Russell.
Yes, very believably played. He's lucky he does not have social media because...
He is. That was a good quote there, Steve. Yes. You have killed so many people. I'm so proud.
Yes.
I did like it, though. I did like Black Widow. Yes. Obviously, it has very little ramifications going forward. It filled a nice gap in Natasha's story.
Yeah.
It did do that. It did give us more to Natasha, but it should have come out in 2017 when it was set. And it did give us Florence Pugh as Yelena, which we're getting going forward. And I'm very happy about that.
So I feel like that's a win.
It is a win.
Just some letdowns for how long we waited for this. How long, like, female MCU fans and male fans as well, but I'm sure women, kind of latching onto this character and feeling that she's been done some disservices in the MCU as a whole, wanting to see this for her and see her have this moment to take the spotlight and shine and really get some depth from her, not completely wholly getting that. So in those aspects, it was a bit of a disappointment, but overall, the family aspects kind of made the film what it made it good, made it enjoyable, made it emotional, and like you said, we got Florence Pugh. So
yeah, and look, who's to say now that we're in multiversal territory that they don't just whack Scarlet in a movie coming from some other branch?
It's highly possible that she could come.
Anything's possible at this point, isn't it?
Yes, I believe it is. But yeah, so to the overarching story, aside from the recruitment of Yelena and Florence Pugh's addition to the MCU, not much here is going to affect us going forward.
No, but it has made me distinctly more excited for the Hawkeye series than I was.
Yeah, to see where
because
that goes.
I now know that Florence is in it.
Yes, and she's going to be coming after Clint and what's going to happen there. So
how Jeremy Renner has lasted so long when he so frequently has been like, nah, I'm out. Nah, I'm out. Nah, I'm out. Jeremy, it's been 12 years. Nah, I'm out. Jeremy, you're still in it. Nah, I'm out.
Because
Jeremy, it's 2045.
He has just enough to do to where it's not a hindrance on anything.
It's not strenuous on him. I mean, he's not Chris Hemsworth. He doesn't have to take his shirt off at every given opportunity.
No.
He can do, and he's good. He's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate Clint Barton more after Endgame.
Yes. So I do appreciate that, like you said, also this film does kind of give some anticipation for Hawkeye, because I wasn't like super like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Haley Steinfeld as well, though. I mean, it's going to be Haley Steinfeld versus Florence Pugh in it, by all realistic reasons.
Yes, potentially.
Which is got to be, that's going to be pretty exciting. I like that. Britain versus America, but also Russia / wherever the hell Yelena's actually supposed to be from. Presumably Russia.
Yeah.
Anyway, Steve wants a new Bumblebee movie. We're not talking about Transformers today, Steve. This is an MCU discussion. We'll save that for the Transformers discussion.
Cut that shit off.
That will not come. Because I don't like them.
But did you like Bumblebee?
I didn't watch it.
It's good. It's actually good.
Okay.
First Transformers and Bumblebee are pretty good.
Unfortunately, there's 47 others.
Yeah.
4. Okay.
So
next.
Yes, so we have Loki.
More of a serious
a series where I pretty much had to watch. I had to watch every episode like twice.
Did you?
Yeah, it was kind of a lot to grasp in moments for me.
I get that. There's a lot of timey stuff, a lot of reality stuff. But I think it was done in such a way similar to what WandaVision did with its reality, where it didn't confuse me.
Yeah. I wasn't confused per se, but I feel like I just needed like clarification. Like, did I understand that right? Let's watch it again. Okay.
I did have to keep reminding myself that Loki is the Loki directly after Avengers and not the Loki directly after we technically last saw Loki in Infinity War.
It seemed a little much that, like, just kind of watching clips of him having this character development gives him that character development. Like, he didn't live any of those things. He didn't live seeing the bond with his brother. But maybe if it was something he wanted enough, because, you know, with the character, you know that he kind of is a trickster and plays these games and does all of these things because it's a facade to kind of hide his vulnerability. And, like, all he really wants is to be accepted, to be seen as an equal to Thor and things like that. So maybe, you know, one side of me is like, how is he going to have that much development just kind of watching himself go through these things as opposed to actually experiencing them? And then it kind of takes away him experiencing those things because, like, obviously then he didn't even need to experience them if just watching it was enough for him to kind of get there, right?
I think if we
but
start
then on the
thinking
other side of it,
about that sort of stuff.
But then on the other side of it, you're kind of like, well, if it's something he wanted enough and he's seeing he was capable of getting there, maybe that is enough to get him to feel that.
If we start thinking like that in terms of, there's a line and that line ends up being, what's the point of ever watching MCU phase 1 to 3 anymore? Just watch the end of Endgame. Because that's really the only thing that now matters.
Or just watch episode 1 of Loki of him watching himself go through that.
Yeah. You know, you end up in that kind of situation where nothing that happened to Loki after the first Avengers happened now. Or did it? I'm still a bit confused on that, to be honest. No, it didn't, did it? Because it was snappy business.
So he...
No, but snappy business made... Oh, no, because it's Loki. Oh, God.
This version is Loki from New York. Loki got
that's right.
defeated by the Avengers. This is Avengers Loki. First Avengers Loki.
So now... Oh, yeah, because I suppose now there's so many Lokis that exist now. So there is still a Loki that lived all the Ragnarok and stood up to Thanos at the start of Infinity War. That Loki still exists somewhere.
Perhaps.
Because the snap hadn't happened yet. So it still exists in one stream. But now we have this stream here.
Yes.
Of the Loki show, TVA. Everything's shot in 70s brown and green and orange.
Yes. And
which I really appreciated as an aesthetic.
Those weird space sci-fi sounds.
You've obviously got so many Lokis. Because you've got Sylvie as well. Like, where's Sylvie even? What universe is Sylvie from? Nobody knows. She was just plucked out of there.
Yeah, since no other Loki has met another female Loki, so.
Yeah. Richard E. Grant's there in his ridiculous outfit.
And he does kind of explain that he's Loki from the future who also kind of went through the Thanos situation where he just projected himself and hid as opposed to getting killed by Thanos.
So at this point, we are in territory now of do not think too hard about it because you will be there for days trying to figure out the circles. Just take the information you are literally spoon-fed.
Yeah.
When it comes to the MCU.
That's why I kind of needed to do the second watches because, like, I think the first time I was theorizing and trying to figure things out and I'm trying to understand what it meant going forward, as opposed to just
when we were doing that every episode of WandaVision, and it all seemed every single little thing seemed to matter so
like
much.
It meant something, and then it just didn't
at all.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Reed Richards is coming. He's her scientist friend. Oh my gosh.
Drivel.
Yes.
People were so excited they hadn't seen an MCU for ages, Janine. It was COVID.
Yes, and Mephisto and all of these.
Well, you thought Mephisto was WandaVision. Then you thought Mephisto was somehow behind the... What were they called? The Black Hand Gang what were they called?
Oh,
Flag smashers.
the flag smashers.
I said Black Hand Gang because they left a hand on people, didn't they? Where have I got Black Hand Gang from? What's that from?
I think that's just what their logo looks like. It's like a black hand with the world in the palm.
I know, but is that not something?
No. And then, like, I think their masks are like a handprint on the face, but
I don't know. And then people thought this was Mephisto, and it's not, is it?
What?
It's not Mephisto.
Whoever thought the Flag Smashers were Mephisto?
Somebody did. I'm sure somebody did at some point. Because, it's got to be Mephisto. It's got to be Mephisto. It's not Mephisto, though, is it? It's Kang. Or, as we will refer to him, He Who Remains, because, oh dear, he hasn't got his actual name yet, but we know full well.
Yes, so then this all does lead to Kang.
Kang, who is... I've learnt this as well, because I had to read into this. So, obviously, at the end of Loki, presumably people watching this have seen Loki. If you haven't, we're not deeply explaining Loki. This is a conversation of what is to come. The end of Loki, obviously, he gets zapped back into the wrong timeline, doesn't he?
Yes.
It's not the timeline he's familiar with. Something else. Other universe. This is the kind of nonsense we're going to have to deal with now, going forward for at least the next 6 years.
Yeah.
Probably. There's a big statue of Jonathan Majors, all in gold. That's Kang. He Who Remains is a variant. Kang is, or Kang is a variant of He Who Remains. That's the issue. So Kang is a particularly evil, domineering variant of He Who Remains.
So the version that Sylvie killed was probably the least dangerous version of that character.
Yes,
least threatening one.
And that least threatening version is the one that created the TVA and caused all this.
Yes.
Grief.
And kind of Sylvie, in doing that, she thinks she's kind of sticking it to the man, but really she's just doing what people expected of her the whole time.
What he expected her to do.
Yeah. So she's not fighting anything. She's still in their little game. She thinks killing him was going to break her out of some kind of game that they were playing with her, and like she won, but literally she just did what they expected her to do.
I mean,
so she didn't win anything.
What do we expect from Loki season 2? Because this is the first of these shows that have had a season 2. Obviously, you can't have a season 2 of WandaVision. That's on its own.
Yes,
you can't do anything with that. But you could have a season 2 of Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
You could,
by all means. But we do have an official season 2 of Loki.
Which I'm expecting to come out probably like just before Ant-Man Quantumanium comes out.
Possibly, yes. When is that supposed to come out?
2022. So sometime next year.
Oh, so it's still next year. Still only next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've not got long to wait for that. I thought we had longer to wait for Ant-Man.
I want to say it's 2022, yeah.
Well, I suppose Ant-Man is the one where Kang is supposed to actually fully
that's
appear
where he
first,
was announced as Jonathan Majors, yeah.
And I know a lot of people have obviously been saying, "Oh, I'm now so excited for Doctor Strange."
Multiverse of Madness. It's February 2023.
Still less than 2 years.
So if Loki's going to come out, it will probably come out like the January of 2023 or like December or something, or late 2022.
I think Loki will end up being a Christmas
to set something up for Quantumania.
Yeah. People have been continually so excited about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness now. However, I found out that Multiverse of Madness was originally supposed to be released before Loki.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, maybe there's not anything in Loki and Doctor Strange.
That is strongly affect those movies.
Maybe Doctor Strange is virtually all Wanda. You know, he's dealing with that, and the multiverse hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
You know, because originally I looked at the original Slate timelines, and I mean, okay, they may have changed it for some reason, but also, or they may have changed it to a certain date for some reason, but also this sort of stuff gets planned years in advance, and nobody could predict what happened last year.
Yeah.
To the world. So I now simply assume, now that I know that, now that I was made aware of that again, that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I mean, it's called Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, so we're kind of getting it all in the title, what we're going to be kind of walking into with this.
It is called Multiverse of Madness, so I'm a little bit not quite sure what's going on there. It's obviously going to be dealing with Wanda. We know that.
She's in it. Mm-hmm.
But whether it's going to be dealing with this multiverse from the end of Loki, I don't know.
Because we're going into the quantum realm, and I have heard a theory as well that, you know...
Who's going into the quantum realm? Doctor Strange?
No, Ant-Man and the Wasp is taking place in the quantum realm. And
entirely in the quantum realm?
I just heard it's taking place there. And I saw a theory recently that, you know, there are always talks of, you know, when we were traveling through the quantum realm in Ant-Man and the Wasp, we see a little city, right? So people are saying potentially that little city is the TVA. And because Michelle Pfeiffer does say time works differently here in the quantum realm. And the whole thing was Scott thinking he was in there for 5 minutes, but he was gone for 5 years. And then Mobius does say something similar, that time works differently here. So what if that little city happens to be the TVA? Because we know that there were also theories that little city was like the city that run by Kang. So what if they make that the TVA?
And they make it... I see. Yeah, and they make it the actual... That would make sense.
Yeah.
And they actually make it the Kang timeline.
The Kang one where Loki ends up at the end of
where Loki... Exactly. Okay. I like that.
Oh, I don't know.
I think you're onto something there. I think that makes absolute sense. I'm into that.
Yes.
Quantum realm TV. That would make sense. Where else would it be? It has to be somewhere where nobody going to ever know.
Yeah.
But who's put it? Who has that ability to go into the quantum realm other than
the Ant-Man people?
The Ant-Man people and Hank.
Yeah.
I didn't think unless Kang's that
powerful
which I suppose he is, isn't he?
Yeah. So yes, I'm curious to see how that plays into Loki, and if Loki is going to address those things, and then will lead into Quantumania. But yeah, then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. I mean, they're giving us it right there in the title. So I don't know how multiverse stuff is going to play into things, and then Spider-Man as well. It's gonna.
Well, Spider-Man comes later, doesn't it? Spider-Man comes after.
I think, isn't that the next one? Isn't Spider-Man like this Christmas? This December?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
It's the first kickoff of all this multiverse film.
It is, stuff. Isn't it? It is. Maybe then. Okay. We've had Loki season 1. We know officially there is a multiverse. Maybe Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, the movies. There is multiversal stuff happening, but nobody knows what the hell's going on and why.
Yes.
Because Loki technically hasn't happened yet. Or it is happening at the same time. You know, whatever. I can only assume that sort of stuff. But isn't Doctor Strange supposed to be in Spider-Man as well?
Yeah, I think so. It's just I think it's gonna get confusing with the casting things.
Cumberbatch is gonna have a hell of a lot to do.
How meta are they gonna get with this? Like, how wink wink to the camera are they going to be if they're trying to explain other films as multiverses? Like how detailed are they going to get with?
Because you're going to have to assume, aren't you? I suppose you're going to have to assume that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3
those were just alternate multiverse
that's been
versions,
created thanks to Sylvie.
Like in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like,
yeah,
they're just alternate versions of the same person. But multiverse versions. So that's what I'm saying. How wink, wink, nod are they going to be? And then this explanation of Electro not being the same Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's not going to be all blue.
Electro in it.
Yes, Jamie Foxx is cast as Electro.
Oh God,
but he says he's not going to be the blue Electro. It's going to be different. So
it's going to be Starface Electro, isn't it?
Yes, the lightning bolts. Coming off his face. So yeah, how meta are we gonna get? How explaining of these different films gonna be put forth as multiverse? Is that going to confuse it even more? Like,
I think it's actually a safer way of doing it to not even treat them like they were other movies at all. Everybody, of course, knows, or at least most people are fully aware, that when we see Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man No Way Home, that Alfred Molina played Dr. Octopus in 2004. We know that, but not everybody's going to know that. So to do a wink to the camera of, I used to play this character years ago. I think it's just better to just have these people show up and just be like, who are you? I'm you. Oh. But there'd be like no meta explanation whatsoever as to say, I used to be you 15 years ago.
Yeah.
When I used to work for Sony, unless Deadpool shows up, in which case it'll just be literally like, he'll be doing it all, won't he? Oh, they need to tread carefully.
Yes. So I'm really curious to see how this goes. I mean, and like all of the casting rumors, I'm really just curious to see what's true, what's not. Are Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire really coming back? Because I mean, that would be, I know a lot of people think it's dumb, but I think that would be so cool.
It is. I thought it was happening.
I don't know. Like a lot of these casting things have not been officially confirmed. The only ones I know to be truly confirmed is Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx. But other than that, I don't know that anything else has been officially confirmed.
What if after all this Spider-Man No Way Home, I mean, it's called No Way Home as well, which makes you think, oh dear, Peter Parker's getting stuck inside a multiverse. But also like, what happened at the end of the last Spider-Man movie? Does Spider-Man No Way Home also therefore mean everybody knows Peter's now Spider-Man and he can't go home for fear of death?
So is it a thing of he can't be in his timeline because everybody knows who he is? So somehow
he has to go to someone else's.
This is timeline where they don't know who he is, and he runs into another Spider-Man or something.
And then he gets Doctor Strange to wipe the windows him into another timeline.
Yeah. So who knows?
Doctor Strange do that? Oh, Doctor Strange can do that. He can do time stuff.
Yes. So
he does time loops, doesn't he? Wanda can also help.
Yeah, but that's when he had the time stone. But he won't have the time stone anymore, will he?
Yeah, but he's powerful enough now that he doesn't need it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's supposed to be, isn't he? If he's not, then we really are screwed. He's literally him and Wanda are the only people that can really sort this out.
Yeah. But if Wanda is too distracted and sinister trying to find her kids.
Yeah, but you know full well by the time Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness ends and Wanda has the kids back, she ain't going to be bothered anymore. She's going to be back to, I'm Wanda, I'm going to help.
We'll see.
Vision's going to be back as well. Vision's going to be back. You're going to have just Vision from somewhere else. You're going to pluck the best parts. No, I die. It's going to be like the comic books, isn't it? I'm dead. Okay, well, we'll just go to the next universe over and take you from that one then.
And bring you back.
Come on.
Yeah, like Gamora. So I don't know how Gamora.
Like Gamora.
Yeah.
Gamora. Yeah, they're going to bring back Gamora.
Yeah, but it's a different timeline Gamora, who hasn't fallen in love with Peter Quill or bonded with the Guardians.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's true, isn't it? That's like that Gamora is actually on the Guardians ship, isn't she now?
Yes.
The original start of
no,
Guardians
she's not.
1 Gamora. Is she not?
She's
Where did
not.
she go?
She like kneed Peter Quill in the balls and like walked away.
So we don't know where Gamora is.
No, but they are on a quest to go get her.
Oh, that's
bring her back. Yes.
So that's Guardians 3.
I would assume so.
Right, okay. Not even remotely thought about Guardians 3 with Thor and...
Yeah.
How dare me not think about
and
Thor.
And then Thor, Love and Thunder, yeah. I don't know.
Thor, Love and Thunder's going to be wacky as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's going to be... That has to be multiverse stuff.
Jane Foster as
Thor.
And there's a whole storyline with her having cancer and she becomes Thor because she's worthy. And when she does become female Thor, it exacerbates her cancer even more. And it's a whole thing. So, yeah.
What about Hulk? What's happening to poor Mark Ruffalo? Is he just plodding around?
Hulk? Yeah, I don't know. Now that he's fused the man and the muscle. I don't know.
Well, it's still going to be Mark Ruffalo, isn't it? He's just going to be wearing a motion cap suit all the time. But is he just going to be plodding around everybody's movies like he always has been?
I don't know.
Is he going to have his own? Or I suppose there's a She-Hulk series, isn't there? So he's going to be in that.
So he'll probably pop up in there. Just so much going on.
There is. That's what I mean. They're going to have to tread lightly, and I have faith in them. Of course, I do. They've delivered. They delivered what 10 pretty perfect years of superhero movie world building.
And we have the Eternals. We have Shang-Chi.
The Eternals.
Yeah.
They're going to get involved, aren't they? They're getting involved now that there's a multiverse.
Yes, Shang-Chi as well.
Shang-Chi, I think, is going to be a breath of fresh air in its simplicity.
Yeah.
I think at the minute, because he's obviously a totally new character, that it's going to be an origin movie because people don't know anything about Shang-Chi.
Yeah, so we're probably not going to get any connections. Yeah, they're going to tack on.
Sure.
They can tack on some explanation, and then we see maybe Abomination potentially in this trailer fighting maybe Wong.
Please tell me it's actual Tim Roth.
Well, he's in Abomination form, so I don't know.
I know, but please tell me somehow.
Did I see any
else from the Incredible Hulk has actually made it out of that movie alive?
I can't remember if I saw during the announcements that Kevin Feige was doing that Tim Roth was on there for the She-Hulk show, but I can't remember.
For the She-Hulk show,
I can't remember if I remember.
I think
come back for that.
You know, I think that She-Hulk show is going to be pretty good as well.
Yeah,
because She-Hulk's a lawyer.
And she also
she
also is a Deadpool in the fact that she does reference the audience and talks with the camera.
Does she?
She does in the comic books.
Didn't know that.
So people I saw a thing about people getting mad about that like that's Deadpool's thing. But if you read a She-Hulk comic book, apparently that is something she looks outside the panels to the audience and like talks to you.
Okay.
So they say that is going to be a part of the show.
Well, Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds did a thing with Taika Waititi, didn't he? That was fun.
Because they're both in that Free Guy movie. So
I suppose that's Deadpool's first introduction into the world of the MCU. If you're an MCU purist, you would count that little advertisement commercial as a part of the universe.
Yes, definitely.
Much like you do with those silly preludes in the Fast and Furious.
Yes, they're very important to the overall arcing story. Yes, the turbocharged prelude.
They're really not important
They
in the
are
slightest.
so important.
They are as important as that Deadpool Korg commercial.
You're not a true fan.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do think Shang-Chi is going to be a good breath of, or a palate cleanser almost,
And
because
it's
we're
like,
getting
are
very
Eternals,
heady things.
is Eternals just going to be them sitting around until the end, and then they said, "Oh, I guess we better get involved." Like, isn't that what you said the other day? Where it's literally them just sitting around the whole movie, and then the last minute they just say,
"No, what was I saying? I was saying it on. Was I saying it on the watch along yesterday, or on the Patreon stream?
On our Patreon stream, I believe.
I've seen that part in the Eternals trailer of, I think it's Angelina Jolie saying, "We haven't gotten involved, or we've been sitting back and we haven't gotten involved until now." And everybody's been like saying it was like, they weren't talking about Thanos. They were talking about the multiverse. It was like, yeah, obviously they weren't talking about Thanos because Thanos is already gone.
It happened, and
we're already past that. That's been and done. That's finished with.
Yeah.
So we're on to the multiverse now. I think the Eternals is going to be like Shang-Chi in format of movie, in the sense that they'll deal with something of their own, and then by the end they'll be like, "Oh dear,
we better get on this multiverse."
Or when is the Eternals coming out? Shang-Chi is definitely going to be like that. Shang-Chi is definitely going to be like, I'm going to deal with my own stuff, becoming Shang-Chi, and then get involved with the rest of us.
It's coming out this year in November 5th.
So after Spider-Man.
Before Spider-Man. Spider-Man's December 17th.
So Eternals is next.
Yes.
In terms of movies.
When is Shang-Chi coming out?
Oh, is Shang-Chi next?
Shang-Chi is next, September 3rd.
Shang-Chi is... God, there's a lot, isn't there? It's every month you're getting something.
Yeah, September, November,
every
December.
month you're getting something, because August, What If? I mean, we haven't even talked about What If yet.
Yeah.
I had the original impression that What If was just going to be like a fun little side thing of, what if this happened? What if this happened? But now it might turn out to be
part of the multiverse. That it could just be part of you and the watcher just showing us different multiverses that have now come about because of what Sylvie did in this branching out.
We were all just really excited to see Chadwick's last performance as Black Panther.
And but just a fun little other series. But yeah, now with Loki and how it ended, these aren't just fun kind of side, hypotheticals. These could be potential multiverses that we're seeing that have branched out because of Sylvie, what she did.
That in the end, to defeat Kang, you maybe take certain aspects from these things that happen in a What If episode,
Yeah.
You maybe take evil Captain America, which is a terrifying thought. But you might need that. You might need to go that extreme.
Yeah.
Because we thought Thanos was big. Kang is not just in terms of power, is it? It's headiness. You have to actually think about how you're gonna, ultimately, how are we gonna defeat Thanos? Oh, if only we could go back in time.
Yeah.
It's like, I know time travel's difficult, but it's a pretty straightforward thought process of how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because then, Scott Lang is like, I did time travel. Okay, how did you do it, Scott? I'll tell you. Yeah. And that was that. Thanos is very powerful. Obviously, Infinity Stones, monumentally powerful things. Look what happened.
Yeah.
But the resolution is not going to be that easy with Kang.
No, and if there are several different versions of Kang, because
He Who Remains version
made this sacred timeline to keep all the warring versions of Kang from warring and fighting each other and creating all of this madness. But now that all of these different evil, much more evil versions of Kang are coming around and coming about, the war is they're going to start a multiversal war again. So you're not just dealing with one Kang. You might be dealing with several who are warring and fighting over a timeline, several timelines.
You just get Jonathan Majors fighting Jonathan Majors for an hour.
Yeah.
In a movie. At one point, there will be a movie that's just called Kang, where it's just 2.25 hours of Jonathan Majors bantering with Jonathan Majors.
Which, I mean, I would not be disappointed, because literally that last episode of Loki was all exposition, and he made it so fun and interesting, and was having so much fun with it. Like, he is incredible.
It almost felt like it shouldn't have been in there. You know what I mean? Like, it was right at the end of this Loki series, and I really did like Loki as a series. The way you actually got into Loki, and Loki introspects on himself and reflects on himself and realizes that he's been terrible, which ultimately, by the end of his life as we knew it in the Infinity Saga, he had done as well.
Yeah.
Really. But he does it very, very personally in this Loki series. And it does end with him knowing that, and him realizing that he's going to have to help significantly. He has knowledge of what's going on, and he is going to be a really key player. Yeah. I'm very interested to see what happens in Loki season 2. I can only assume more characters come into play.
And kind of starting from scratch with Mobius and B-15 not even knowing who he is.
Yeah.
And where did Ravonna go?
That's what I didn't like about Loki. They villainized Gugu and Mbatha-Raw, which I don't stand for.
Yes, well, she is.
She did it very well, interest. Of course.
She is Kang's love interest in the comics. Yes. So essentially, she goes to find him.
That's what it's all about. That's why she's not. She knows full well it's all about Kang.
Well, I think she truly. I don't think she 100% knows, but she knows something. So, presumably,
she knew it wasn't the fake timekeeper people.
Yes, but Miss Minutes, she was with He Who Remains, and then she was a little late getting back to Ravonna, and when she got back to her, she gave her this information. So whatever information Miss Minutes gave her could have potentially been from that very variant of Kang. And that's how she knew where to go to find him.
Oh, so you think Gugu and Mbatha-Raw's now gone to Kang?
Yes, something like that. And that's how their whole romance will start.
Right, I see. I do hope you realize as well that given going forward into Multiverse, I am definitely going to be referring to characters as like... So we have Spider-Man and then Spider-Man.
Okay.
Because Spider-Man is actually the real Spider-Man. Like I just said, Kang. Because He Who Remains is also Kang, but he's not Kang, because only Kang is Kang. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of that in my mind.
I'm going to have to try to figure this out.
Yeah. Morgan gets confused when multiverses start to happen. I'm very scared. This is why I just... They need to tread carefully.
Yes.
Because they have to cater for people like me that are thick when it comes to multiverses.
I mean, it gets very complicated. Time travel is very tricky to kind of maintain a through line that makes sense, that you're not going to be kind of thinking too much about and finding plot holes in and things like that.
I can barely deal with Back to the Future.
Yeah, it's a lot. So they're definitely going to have an uphill battle to continue their planning that they've done so well in all of these films, to continue that now with more confusing elements, because they already kind of ran into some things with the time travel they did in Endgame with, you know, differing accounts of what it really means from the Russos and the writers, and, you know, what things meant and where people went and what that means. And
what I think it's going to be left up to interpretation. We're going to be given the information and given the story.
So hopefully we do get some solid exposition from Jonathan Majors level actor who can explain it in a fun way that's not just like blah, 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 blah.
You're almost going to need a previously on at the start of some movies.
Yes.
Do you think, like, previously on the MCU?
Well, I mean, a lot of people have put this idea out there, and I am one of those people who thinks Michael Pena should just come in and...
I can't, it's too quick for me, though. It would be entertaining. I would like that to happen.
Just recap.
But it wouldn't be of any use to anybody because it'd go over far too quick. I need to be told like I'm 3 years old learning to walk.
But that would be very heavy-handed. I think they're not going to make it too complex. You know, I think they were kind of touching there with Endgame time travel, but they managed to make it make enough sense that you could get through the movie.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's going to be to an insane level where you're going to need
I didn't have any problem. I didn't have any problems.
It's going to be boring. It's going to be boring if they're sitting here giving you a
yes,
you know, lesson in quantum physics. Like, no. So
yes, it is.
I feel like if they do something fun like that, maybe that could be interesting. Or if they do have someone giving this like epic Kang level monologue and explaining it to a character who needs that information, and it's not just explaining it to people who already kind of know what's going on, and it feels like a waste that they're literally just doing that for our benefit. I think if they kind of find a clever way to do it, I think they could recap it and explain things to where they make sense without it being boring.
I think they can, because I'm quite sure. I mean, look, this phase 4, as we're in now, is by all accounts supposedly to finish with the Fantastic Four, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Realistically. And we have to assume that the idea of Kang is lasting about as long as Thanos lasted.
Well, apparently the original variant of Kang is Reed Richards' father or something like that.
So, see, this is where it gets silly. I don't know anything.
In the comics. Okay. So
no, I'm thinking in terms of movie timeline now. So is Kang literally another 10-year job of movies, do we think?
I feel like he is going to be the Loki of this new phase.
The Loki?
So, like, Loki kind of was the big bad. Like, every movie had their kind of signature villain, but Loki branched over into other movies. So, like, he was in the Thor movies, and then he was the big bad of Avengers.
Yeah.
He pops up in other things, and he is kind of a through line. He was kind of the villain of specific phases that was in kind of more than one movie. So I'm thinking maybe Kang will be that of this new phase.
He was certainly
with the multiverse and having variants of him around, he could pop up randomly in different, and like Thanos kind of being end credits, and Thanos, I'll do this myself, and Thanos kind of pop in. I think Kang and variants of him could randomly pop up in different shows and movies and end credits.
Yes, absolutely.
So he will be built up, I think, as kind of the big bad of this phase. I would assume.
So, but this is what I'm saying. Is he a Thanos level 10-year job of a big bad, or is he a Loki level one phase of a big bad?
Well, I mean, if we're not getting him until 2023, I think.
Yeah, if we're not getting actual Kang.
Yeah, then it's probably going to be a big build. And if they do build him up pretty solidly in like little appearances here and there, then maybe by 2023, then he's already there. But who knows? Who knows how they're going to go about it?
But I'm just saying I think he is this 10-year period's Thanos.
I mean, I could definitely
as opposed to this 10-year period's Loki, or this 10-year period's whoever else was a major villain. They're really only the two, aren't they? There's no real other one.
Yeah.
There isn't. I was trying to think. There really actually isn't, is there? Everybody has like individual movies, apart from those two in terms of villains.
That really only appear like the one movie and then they're gone. Yeah.
That's surprising. Anyway. So yeah, I can only imagine him as being, you know, the absolute monster of all this, what's going on now.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm sure with a more solid Fantastic Four in place, you do you go a Doctor Doom? Do you go a Galactus?
I don't know. It depends on how much we have going on at that time, because then there's potentially young Avengers they're setting up, because we've seen characters who, you know, we're going to see Kate Bishop. We saw Isaiah Bradley's grandson, who potentially is a young Avenger at some point. If Wanda gets her kids back there in the Young Avengers, Kid Loki, I believe, is in the Young Avengers.
Is he coming back?
Who knows? So we've seen through these shows characters that potentially have gone on to be in the Young Avengers. So who knows if we're getting that? Who knows, you know, with that Valentina, like if we're going to get Thunderbolts or some other kind of villain team, New Avengers. Norman Osborn leads and the New Avengers, I believe, at a certain point in the comic book. So, you know, if we're getting these built up villain hero teams on top of, you know, building up Kang and Multiversal War and all these characters coming in, and, you know, depending on where we're at that time is when we're going to have to just kind of see where we're at.
Ultimately,
what's going on, and if we have room for anything else.
We're getting way more complex.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think you can't add something else like that on when you've already got.
So yeah, unless it's a part of this bigger plan, then yeah.
That's what I mean. The Infinity Saga, as it were, had an end. The end game, Far From Home, call Far From Home what Far From Home was. End game was the end. The MCU could have ended there.
Yeah.
Satisfyingly. There was no additional things needed. If we're being honest, there was nothing needed. There was nothing you were like, oh, I wonder what's happened to this character, because you knew what had happened to that character.
Yeah.
So they're building that up again. So I can only assume that idea of finite ending ends again in the inevitable defeat of Kang.
Yeah.
And then that's all I was thinking of, who is the one after that, because this is going on for decades and decades, as we all fully well know.
Yeah.
With a more solid Fantastic Four, does it become a particularly Fantastic Four villain?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see if that's something they worked into their plan, because if it's not, because there's already a lot going on, so we'll see if how much is too much, I think.
But then again, I said, didn't I, that this phase is supposed to end with a Fantastic Four, so to only throw
to not be prepared for that, wouldn't really make much sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why the Fantastic Four are coming into play? Why?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Reed Richards gonna wind himself under a door and annoy Kang. Is
well,
Sue,
yeah, and who knows if they're gonna play that familial relation
invisible.
As well. Because I did see a couple things saying that like a version of Kang is Reed, like his human original form
so
is
Reed
Richards' father. So
maybe that's where we're getting Fantastic Four from. Then
perhaps
maybe that's exactly where we're getting it from. Maybe that's why they're relevant. But I'm intrigued about a Fantastic Four in this MCU as I can now see it playing out.
Yeah.
Because it just seems a little too much right now.
Yeah.
And it realistically should be coming in 3 years-ish.
Yeah. So we'll see.
So I don't know. We will see. We will certainly see. I'm just thinking if there's anything else. I also find it strange how in the middle of all this, you're having movies like Blade.
Yeah.
What's Blade gonna do?
I know, right? How is he gonna fit into the MCU?
With a sword?
Yeah.
No, he isn't.
And potentially the X-Men now and Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's too many people. It's all of a sudden you get too many people.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And you thought there was too many. You thought there was too many people in Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah.
We've not even begun with the. Oh my God! There's too many people in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they're not the main movie. You know, your major. Everybody's in this movie. They're not going to exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, your Avengers movies.
As we know it, and they're not. Yeah.
You're not going to need them to exist because everybody's going to be in everybody else's movie anyway.
Yeah.
It's as though, you know, it's just like, oh, how many are in this random Spider-Man movie? Or how many are in this, you know, whatever's coming after that.
Yeah.
Ant-Man 4. I mean, Paul Rudd's, I know he looks good, but Paul Rudd's 60.
He's not 60. I think he's like 50.
Paul Rudd is definitely older than, yeah, he is. He's like 52 or something, isn't he?
Yes.
But Paul Rudd can't still be playing Scott Lang when he's 60. Can he?
I don't know that. I don't know. Well, that's why they recast Cassie Lang to be a more known actress so that she can take over and be a young Avenger too.
That's true. I don't know. Madness. Multiverse of madness.
Yes, all madness.
Next up in the MCU, I think, is What If, which, to be fair, is going to be a little bit easier to digest.
Yes, and if they do a kind of a cool thing where this is like these now are multiverses that we're seeing that have opened up, that could be kind of cool. So yeah, excited.
And then it'd be Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, yes. So,
not Into the Spider-Verse.
Sorry, I'm just like all the verse.
Basically Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse MCU edition
in live action.
Yes.
Fun stuff. Excitement, Janine. We've had fun there.
Yes.
I like our MCU things. I don't. To be fair, we'll probably only do will we do an MCU thing about What If and maybe what our favorite ones were?
Yeah, I mean, once it kind of goes through, if we see like things that we really want to discuss, we could probably do one on that.
Yeah, why not? I like doing this. We want to do more things in general, though, don't we? Like this, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very fun, just nice, casual discussions about things we love.
Yes,
that's what we like doing, spreading joy and positivity. You won't find much hate going on It's a Wonderful Podcast, I'm afraid.
No.
So if you're into vitriol and negativity, then it's not the place for you. We like happiness here.
Yes. And complaining. Casual complaining, but that's about as far as...
Casual complaining, yes, but generally our faces look like this. Yes. There we go. Janine, are we doing any plugs of any sort, I suppose?
I mean, just like, share, and subscribe the channel, the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. Definitely trying to build and grow it, so that would be a huge help. If you want to support us, we have a Patreon. It's a Wonderful One on patreon.com. We have some fun tiers, links below. You get monthly artwork. We do fun Sunday live streams, voting and polls, bonus content. So please check it out. It's a Wonderful One on patreon.com. You can find
the main podcast feed as well, of course.
And It's a Wonderful One on Twitter. Check out the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. Yes, it's a wonderful podcast. Our podcast feed where we have 3 shows over there: Machine Mondays, every Monday where I talk Schmodown. Morgan hasn't seen, every Wednesday where I force Morgan to watch movies he hasn't seen. And it's a wonderful podcast where we give love to classic films. So every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have you covered. So find It's a Wonderful Podcast feed. All places podcasts can be found. You can find me at Janine _ on Twitter, Janine Devine on Instagram. And if you want any merch for any of our shows or to check out any of my artwork, all of that is at my TeePublic shop, including this shirt. What the fuck, Frank?
Oh.
At G9Design on teepublic.com.
Well, you can find me at the Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in the because Janine.
3 is the magic number.
That is on Twitter, just at the Purple Dawn on Instagram, and that is going to do it. Do all the fun stuff, share around. Yay. Celebration of the craziness that we're in store for. In what is, quite frankly, still the absolute most impressive piece of entertainment world building you'll ever see.
Yeah, sorry, Martin Scorsese, but it's pretty spectacular what these writers and actors and directors and the studio has been able to do in terms of filmmaking and telling cohesive
and success,
strong, interesting, diverse, successful stories and planning things out and doing storytelling in a really interesting and smart way. You can't deny that it's very smart in how they've gone about building this universe. So
it is monumental, and it's only going to get crazier.
Yes.
There we go.
Right.
Until next time, when we're back doing whatever on YouTube. One thing left to do, Janine. Do it in your best super powerful villain voice.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.